ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls.
You're listening to House of Cards.
Today, the game is different.
I want to gamble. Gambling is a very serious business. Is that clear?
Welcome to House of Cards. Dave Weishuttle with you here, deep from the swamps of Jersey. We got a great show coming up for you. Gambling has been around since this country has started, and women have played an important role in the growth of the gambling industry. And now a new book has documented the role women have played in the gambling business of this country. It's called That Expletive Broad, and it's written by gaming attorney Jennifer Gaynor. Coming up, we're going to talk with Jennifer about the early female pioneers of gambling in this country all the way up to the present day. It's an incredible book about the women in the world of gambling and casinos. So stick around. We'll be right back with House of Cards.
Yeah, you, come here. Haven't you heard? We don't need to hide anymore. Now, we can shop privately for adult products at adamandeve.com. They've got massage oils, lingerie, and lots more we can't mention here. Use offer code SPICE404. They'll give you 50% off almost any one item, 3 free DVDs, free mystery gift, and free shipping. That's 50% off, free shipping, and more. Private shopping starts at adamandeve.com.
You're listening to the House of Cards.
You lose track of time in those casinos. There's no windows, there's no clocks, and you never walk away from the table when you're on a heater.
Welcome back to House of Cards. Dave Weishuttle with you. Gambling has been a part of this country since it was founded, and women have played a crucial role in the growth of gambling. A great new book has documented the stories of some of these incredible women that broke barriers and helped shape the gambling business today. The book is titled That Expletive Broad, and I want to talk to the author right now, gaming attorney Jennifer Gaynor. Jennifer, thanks for coming on.
Thank you for having me, Dave.
I got to tell you, first, I love the title of your book, That Expletive Broad. How did that become the title of your book?
That's actually one of my favorite stories about the book. So as I was researching the various women that I was going to feature in the book, one of them, named Deborah Nutton, she was one of the first women to be a craps dealer on the Las Vegas Strip. And at a very early age, she became a pit boss at a strip casino, and some of the gentlemen that she worked with were less than thrilled that she was there. And so they would refer to her as that blank broad, something that, for a while was a bit of a challenge for her. She actually hid in the ladies' room during, break times to avoid seeing these men in the break room. But eventually she went on, like I said, to become a very young pit boss. And then she went on to be, a top executive for MGM and the Wynn, and had a stunning career in the gaming industry.
I've never read a book like this, and it was so great to read about the women in gambling. I mean, what inspired you to write this book?
Well, as you know, I've been a gaming attorney here in Las Vegas for more than 15 years. And, year after year, you go to the gaming conferences. I know you've been there.
Sure.
And you see lots of what we call manels. And that's, panels consisting mostly of men.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was at a gaming conference a couple of years ago, And, I was flipping through, looking at what our panels would be that day, and I saw mantle after mantle, and, it was a little bit disheartening. But then I looked around the room, and I saw some amazing women in gaming, women like Sandra Douglas Morgan, who was then the chair of the Nevada Gaming Control Board, my good friend Ellen Whittemore, who is now general counsel at the WIN, and I realized there was a lot of kick-ass women in that room. And there had been throughout the history of gaming, and I really wanted to make sure that their stories were told and shared.
I think it's great how you organized your book, too. You took us from the early days of gambling through corporate America and then with the women who worked in government and regulation. I especially love the story of the women in the early days of gambling because I have to admit, when I think of the Wild West and the card rooms west of the Mississippi, I really don't think of women in the gambling business. But there were several. I mean, for example, you have the story of Lottie Deno, who was incredibly interesting. Can you tell us a little bit about Lottie and some of the other women who were literally the real pioneers of women in gambling in this country?
Yeah, Lottie Deno, she was a great story. So she was, she had a very privileged childhood upbringing. Her father was a plantation owner, and he also raised race horses. But he had 2 daughters. He had no sons. So when he went on business trips, he would take Lottie with him often. And he was a gambler. So he would take her with him to the casinos in New Orleans, New York, even over in Europe. And along the way, he taught her how to play. So she actually, at a very young age, as a teenager, became a bit of a card shark. And this actually came in super handy for her when her father, unfortunately, perished. He was fighting in the Civil War, and he actually died, I think, in the first battle he fought in. So that left her mother with 2 daughters and a plantation to run at a time when it was hard to, find men to come and work on their plantation. So her family sent her off to the city, to Detroit, hoping that where they had family friends, hoping that she could find a man to marry who she could then bring back and could run the plantation for the family. But of course, that's not what Lottie did. She went to Detroit. She went on the party circuit, and then she started gambling at card rooms and playing poker, and realized that she could make a lot of money doing that. Actually, enough money that she was able to support her mother and her sister with the proceeds she won from gambling. And then she went on to, have a very stellar career in the gambling industry.
Another part of the book I found really enlightening, because I've really never thought of it that way, were the women who actually owned casinos. And one of those inspirational stories you document was the incredible life of Sarah Ann Knight Preddy. I mean, tell us a little bit about her, because she impacted Las Vegas, she impacted the gambling business, and she was really influential even outside of the gambling business.
She was. Sarah Ann Knight Preddy, she's a very inspirational figure here in Las Vegas, especially in the African-American community. She started off as the dealer in the card rooms in the segregated west side of Las Vegas. And I actually really enjoyed getting the opportunity to write about the west side and how Las Vegas, once upon a time was segregated. So you would have famous African Americans who could perform on the strip, but they couldn't stay in the strip casinos. So there was actually a really active after-party nightlife on the west side, where a lot of these performers, African American and white alike, would come and spend their time after hours, gambling in the casinos and the gaming parlors on the west side.
Okay, hold that thought. We're going to take a quick break. See you on the other side.
Drizzly makes it easy to shop a huge selection of beer, wine, and liquor from wherever I am. I just open the app, find what I want, and it's at my door in under 60 minutes.
Drizzly. Ding dong, Drizzly.
You're listening to House of Cards.
Where was the house? Where was the House of Cards?
Welcome back to House of Cards. Dave Weishuttle with you here. House of Cards is brought to you by Drizzly, your online liquor store. Available in over 95 cities across North America, Drizzly offers a huge selection and competitive pricing with a side of personalized content. Now there's no need to leave the house. Get alcohol delivered in less than an hour by Drizzly. Head on over to drizzly.com and order today. And now get $5 off your first order of $20 or more when using promo code DRINK19 at checkout. Shop beer, wine, and liquor with drizzly.com. For those of you just joining us, I am talking with gaming attorney and author of That Expletive Broad, Jennifer Gaynor. Sorry about that. Radio has to do its business, you know. Why don't you continue what you were saying before the break?
But anyway, that's where she started off working in the gaming industry, because it was a very difficult time for her as a Black woman to find, you know, a career elsewhere in Las Vegas where it was segregated. And she went on to become the first woman to get a gaming license in the state of Nevada. And, you know, she took that experience and she became involved with the NAACP and, you know, civil rights groups in Las Vegas and across Nevada. And she did a lot to advance African-American people. You know, for one, she ran for office. You know, she was the first female African-American to win a primary running for city council in Las Vegas. She ended up not winning. She went out of politics, decided it wasn't for her, and she went back to, you know, what she knew, which was gaming and running other businesses. You know, she was quite an entrepreneur and quite an inspiration for many.
You know, I found that aspect incredibly interesting. I was wondering, I mean, was it just the prejudice of Nevada at that time to keep her away from certain areas of the gaming business, or was it the laws of Nevada really keeping the women, especially Sarah Ann, down? Because, you know, she wasn't allowed to work certain places, yet she was allowed to have a casino license, and she owned a casino. What was going on there?
Well, that was in northern Nevada, you know, versus in Las Vegas, where there were various rules and ordinances. You know, for example, they after she had become a dealer, they came up with an ordinance, you know, prohibiting women from being dealers in strip casinos in the city of Las Vegas. And, you know, that was, I think, prompted because a lot of, you know, women at the time, they saw their men going off to casinos and gambling. And if there were female dealers, they were afraid they would lead the men astray and tempt them to gamble even more and perhaps cheat on them. So, you know, women as dealers, women in the casinos working, you know, were very much frowned upon by society. So that was something that she had to overcome, in addition to, you know, the general segregation of Las Vegas at the time.
It seems that one of the areas in the casino and gambling business that women are underrepresented is at the executive level, but there are women who did achieve incredible success at the executive level. I mean, one of the women I was thinking of, and you documented in the book, was Virginia McDowell. Tell us a little something about her and the other women that have reached very successful levels in the gambling business at the executive level.
Yeah, and a lot of times, you know, one thing I found interesting while I was writing this book was, you know, I think in a lot of cases it was never an intention, you know, to become an executive in the gaming industry. You know, Virginia McDowell, for example, she started off, you know, as a journalism student, working in radio and television. But then she saw that gaming was introduced in, you know, your hometown, New Jersey, and wanted to get involved in the industry at the very beginning. So she sent out, because she had become an expert in marketing and, you know, TV and radio, and that was her major in college, was journalism. She was attracted to marketing directors at gaming properties, I believe it was the Tropicana, and they hired her to do marketing, and that's how she got into the gaming industry. But she ended up meeting some men along the way who were really mentors to her and taught her a lot about the actual operational side of gaming, and brought her along. You know, one of the first major things she did was taking over a struggling gaming company, Argosy Gaming, and turning it around. And I think one of the ways she was able to do that was she had a very hands-on approach. So she would go down to the casino floor, she would talk to customers, she would, you know, be very interested in what they liked, what they didn't like, what they wanted to see, and found ways to really make it a better experience for customers, and thus made, you know, casinos more successful. and someone who knew her from her time at Argosy when the Isle of Capri CEO position became available, really lobbied for her to be interviewed for the position because they knew what a great job she could do. And that's how that came to be about.
I was reading that Expletive Broad, your great book, here in New Jersey at the perfect time, I think, because the big story that broke about a month and a half ago was that Caesars Entertainment named Jacqueline Gray Senior Vice President and General Manager of the Tropicana Casino in Atlantic City. Now, with that hire, it means that 4 of the 9 Atlantic City casinos were run by women, the other 3 being Melanie Johnson at the Borgata, Terry Glabaki at Ocean Resort, and Carrie Hall at Bally's. And that really made me think, because I was reading that section when I saw the news story break, and I was thinking, I was like, is New Jersey doing well in comparison to other states that have casinos? In your opinion, is that ratio or percentage keeping pace with other gaming markets across the country?
Oh, certainly. I think that's, great strides being made in New Jersey right now. But, this time with the pandemic, it's actually been a very challenging time for women in the workforce generally, in the gaming industry in particular. Where, gaming and hospitality is one of the industries that was very hard hit by the pandemic. And you look at some of the news stories coming out, talking about how this is having a outsized impact on women, that they're, leaving the workforce at, 4 times the rate that men are. So this makes it a very important time for women to be having these executive roles in the gaming industry and really keeping a hold of the progress that women have made in the gaming industry, to become these executives. But we also have to be very careful that we don't lose women at all levels of gaming, because, you're not going to be able to have women in these executive roles if you don't have the pipeline at the lower levels leading up to that. So, I think this is a great time for this book and the messages in the book about the importance of women in the gaming industry, and for gaming companies to really pay attention, to make sure they're continuing to feed that pipeline.
Well, I'm curious. You mentioned it. I mean, are there gaming companies right now doing more to promote women and diversity in the workplace, especially at the executive level?
There definitely are, gaming companies that are working very hard to do that. And some of that is, prompted by some of the women in my book, who have become executives and are doing a lot to help women, and the Global Gaming Women organization, I think, has played a very important role in promoting that throughout the years. MGM's always had they took an early stance, and Caesars as well, in making sure that this was a priority for them. You see places like, the Wynn, where, they were kind of in a lot of trouble when it came to, misogyny and how women were treated in that workforce not that long ago, as we all famously know, with the cases against Steve Wynn. And they've had a major turnaround in their representation of women on their board, and putting Ellen Whittemore, choosing her to be the general counsel for the Wynn. So, there's definitely companies in Las Vegas and in the gaming industry that are doing really good things in this area.
Okay, hold that thought. We're going to take a quick break. See you on the other side. Hey, this is Dave Weishuttle from House of Cards with your House of Cards gaming report for the week of May 2nd, 2022. Pennsylvania reported record-breaking gaming revenue for the month of March. According to the Pennsylvania Gaming Control Board, the Keystone State recorded $462.7 million in revenue. That mark surpassed its previous record of $432.5 million, which was set in November 2021. According to the report, what drove this revenue increase was retail table games and online casino games. Another state celebrating a milestone is Massachusetts. For the first time in history, the Bay State recorded a 9-figure monthly gaming revenue. According to the Massachusetts Gaming Commission, the state's casinos recorded $102.67 million in March. The biggest winner of the 3 casinos in the state was Encore Boston Harbor, which generated a record-breaking $64.8 million in revenue. And finally, online lottery platform Jackpocket announced a deal with the Minnesota Twins. According to the agreement, Jackpocket became the official mobile lottery partner of the Major League franchise. Jackpocket will be giving away VIP tickets, tours of the ballpark, and will also give away free lottery tickets if people use the promo code TWINS. Sounds like some pretty good stuff from Jackpocket and the Twins. Have any news or tips regarding casinos, gaming, or legislation? Send us an email at newsroom@houseofcardsradio.com and follow us on Twitter at HOC Radio.
You're listening to the House of Cards.
Whoa! I think we got a show. Oh, yeah, we got a show. We definitely got a show. Oh, yeah, there's a show. Hey, it's all about ratings, baby, and we got them.
Welcome back to House of Cards. Dave Weishottle with you here. House of Cards is brought to you by Drizzly, your online liquor store. Available in over 95 cities across North America, Drizzly offers a huge selection and competitive pricing with a side of personalized content. Now there's no need to leave the house. Get alcohol delivered in less than an hour by Drizzly. Head on over to drizzly.com and order today. And now get $5 off your first order of $20 or more when using promo code DRINK19 at checkout. Shop beer, wine, and liquor with drizzly.com. For those of you just joining us, I am talking with gaming attorney and author of That Expletive Broad, Jennifer Gaynor. You know, I want to ask you about the women who became the regulators who oversee the gambling activity in the state. And the one person I was going to bring up, you actually already brought up, Sandra Douglas Morgan. I found it amazing that a woman with such incredible knowledge of the gaming industry and gaming law, when the governor of Nevada called her up to be chair of the Nevada Gaming Control Board, she thought he was calling her to ask about the retirement of another board member, which I found that an absolutely mind-blowing story. I mean, tell us a little bit about Sandra Douglas Morgan.
She's incredibly smart, incredibly polished, but, one of the most modest people I've ever met. When I actually initially approached her at a Global Gaming Women event to interview her for the book, she was like, "Me? Are you sure?" She's like, "I've only been chair for less than a year. I haven't accomplished that much." And I had to tell her, Sandra, just by virtue of being the chair of the Gaming Control Board, the second female and the first African American chair of the board, just by being you and being in that position, you've accomplished quite a lot for women in the gaming industry. But yeah, and then when I was interviewing her, she was talking about how she really preferred getting involved in the operation of being the board chair and the policy of it. And I pointed out how important it was for me personally as a woman in the industry to see her speaking at gaming conferences and to see her up there as a role model and someone that women could aspire to be was extremely important. And she said, I really never thought about that, how important it was for me to be there, to be in the room, to be up there speaking. So she said, I'm going to make sure that I focus on doing that a lot more, because throughout her experience, she had women, at the MGM that she worked with, for example, who were inspirational role models and positions and executive positions that she could look up to. And, she brought up the quote, you have to see it to be it. And I think that's very true. Plus, she had a great background, not only in gaming, but she went through what she called trial by fire when she was working as counsel for the city of North Las Vegas, and they were having, one of their worst fiscal crises ever. And she helped, work with the governor, work with the mayor of the city, and shepherding the city through, what was a time of crisis, to turn things around and become, a very successful city, put it on a road to success. So, and she's pointed out, after going through that at the city of Las Vegas, that was really my trial by fire. She overcame in her own life and career what is known as imposter syndrome. And I think that's something that women suffer from a lot more than men. And that's, thinking that you're not qualified to be there. You look around, you're like, why am I here? What do I know? Do I know anything? And, going through that experience really helped her to overcome that and have a lot more confidence moving forward, which also helped her to be a great chair.
When we talk about the gambling industry, I mean, there are a bunch of branches within the industry itself. I mean, there's PR, there's player development, there's marketing. Are there areas in the gambling industry itself where women are really underrepresented to a point where companies should really be focusing on that area with regard to employment of women?
Sure, because, if you look at the numbers, and this is something I talk about in my book, where there might be, 38% of women represented at the executive level, but you realize they're siloed into certain categories. For example, you don't see a lot of women on the operational side. You don't see a lot of women on the floor. You don't see a lot of women in IT or security. Where you do see a lot of women are areas that are typically thought of as women industries, like human resources and marketing. And I point out in the book, for women, for themselves, taking a hold of their careers, one of the things they can do is look for areas where there isn't a lot of representation by women, and ask, their bosses to get them training in that area or to get experience in those areas. And that's something that companies can, really look for and try to encourage as well.
Right now, the gambling industry, certain states are allowing sports betting and online gambling. I mean, certainly we don't have the complete numbers and the research right now with regard to employment demographics. But do you think those are the next areas of gambling that have to be looked at with regard to women and their impact on the sector of the industry?
Well, I think those are, obviously growth areas for the industry. So it's, extremely important for women to be involved there. Sports betting in particular has, long time very much been a man's world.
Yeah.
So, when you see women making strides and being represented there, like my friend Jennifer Roberts is, counsel at the Interactive Gaming over at the Wynn, I think that's very exciting, and you hope to see more of that.
Looking back at the women you documented in your book, that Expletive Broad, throughout history of the gambling in this country, has there been one characteristic that all these women had that allowed them to push forward in what was once a male-dominated industry? Because I found it very interesting, and you brought this up in the interview, that, they did not set out to finally end up do what they're doing. I mean, a lot of the women and most of the women didn't think, hey, I'm going to own a casino. But what characteristic pushed them forward?
I think in most cases it's a few things, but one of it is they were all extremely hardworking. They were willing to put in the hours and the time. I think Claudine Williams, who was a high school dropout, who ended up becoming the owner and operator of a Las Vegas Strip casino. That's not a path you would ever seen happening. But she worked really hard. She was very persistent. She asked for what she wanted. For example, when she was a teenager, she convinced the owner at a nearby, gaming parlor that had opened up to hire her, and said that she had experience with dealing dice, which she didn't really, but he bought it and brought her on, and she became the first female dealer at that club. And that's something she did throughout her career. Is she wasn't afraid to ask for what she wanted. She worked really hard to gain the experience and the knowledge that would make her a valuable asset. So, persistence, curiosity, I think, about the gaming industry, and really wanting to to do it, love for the game. The early women, Alice Ivers, Lottie Dino, they loved gambling. They loved poker. They loved playing, and they were very successful at it. So, it's love for the game. It's love for the industry. It's persistence. And it's the willingness to be a first in an area, to be the first woman, to be a dealer, to be, perhaps not get a great reception from your colleagues. That was very important to many of their success.
Now, you're a very successful woman in the gambling business. What has it meant for you personally to research and write about the women who have come before you in this industry?
Well, first of all, it was incredibly inspiring, because I knew there were great women out there, many of whom I knew personally, from my own experience working in the industry. But to learn about some of the other women who I didn't know about, extremely inspirational for me in writing this book. But also, it's a really great networking tool, I have to say. If there are people that you look up to in the work world and you're not sure how to approach them, if you're going to interview them for an article or a book, that's a great tool. It gets you a conversation, it gets you an introduction, and, I highly recommend it.
Jennifer, we're running out of time, but I certainly want to get your opinion on the current state of the gambling industry with regard to the pandemic. Certainly, it's been one of the most challenging times for the industry. I mean, I got to tell you, as a fellow gaming attorney, I've never before now had to draft a service contract for the cleaning and sanitizing of casino chips, but it's a very weird time. How do you see the gambling? How do you see the gambling industry emerging from this?
I think it's going to emerge stronger than ever. The gambling industry, as you know, over the years has gone through, many different changes and iterations from, kind of the lounges and the card playing that was prevalent, back in the 50s and the early days, to, the onslaught of the large slot floors that really became the moneymaker for casinos in more recent years. And I think we're going to see a change away from that. And, what exactly that will be, I don't know. Will it be esports? Will it be online gaming? Different kinds of experiences that casinos can bring to the table. I think all of it's, really worth exploring. And sports betting, of course, now that PASS has been repealed, that's only going to continue growing across the country. So, I think the gaming industry, it's a dark time now. It's a difficult time now, but I think there's blue skies on the other side of the pandemic.
Jennifer, can you tell people how they can get a copy of your book, That Expletive Broad? And if you have a website or a social media address, you can give that out too.
Sure. You can find me on Facebook at Jennifer Gaynor or LinkedIn at Jennifer Gaynor. And the book is available on Amazon.com and Barnes & Noble. So if you just Google That Expletive Broad, you will be able to find it online.
Jennifer Gaynor, attorney and author of That Expletive Broad. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing the stories of these incredible women of gambling with us. It's an incredible book about the gambling industry. Thank you so much for coming on and talking about it.
Thank you so much for having me, Dave. I appreciate it.
Stick around. We'll be right back with more House of Cards. More bets, better odds at PlaySugarHouse.com. Sign up today at PlaySugarHouse.com and don't forget to use our promo code HOUSE to take advantage of their first deposit match up to $250. Must be 21 years or older and in New Jersey to place a bet. Terms and conditions apply. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Stick around. We'll be right back with more House of Cards.
casino. People gotta win sometime.
Now, if you'll excuse me, I have a giant, colorful check to deposit.
Beating the House is brought to you by BetMGM Casino. Play your favorite casino games at BetMGM Online Casino. Slots, table games, live dealer games, everything you love about Atlantic City and Vegas, all online at BetMGM. Don't wait. Join in the fun now. Go to BetMGM Casino, create an account using our promo code Turnpike, and become a verified player. New players get $25 free when signing up, plus a first deposit bonus up to $1,000. That's promo code Turnpike at BetMGM.com for a 100% deposit match up to $1,000 plus $25 free. Grab a lion's share of the fun at BetMGM.com. Must be 21 years or older to place a bet. Terms and conditions apply. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
And welcome to this week's edition of the Turnpike Sports Beating the House segment, where we discuss the jackpots won across the country and internationally in the casinos, the online casinos, the bingo halls, the lottery, what have you. We will discuss a bunch of different stories that are kind of interesting in terms of the amounts won, the games. Keep those press releases coming in, and we'll continue doing this segment.
You mentioned bingo halls. Have we had a good jackpot from a bingo hall lately?
No, that's why I mentioned. I'm hoping somebody sends me
more bingo
one
halls.
Well, hey, you still have Foxwoods is considered a bingo hall. A lot of the casinos still have bingo
I've
halls.
never referred to Foxwoods as bingo hall.
It started out as a bingo hall.
Okay.
You got to actually acknowledge
the
bingo halls at least.
Acknowledge its history, but
I was trying to be nice. Now you kind of make me rethink what I just said. So, but we're going to start off this week in Arizona.
Okay.
The Desert Diamond Casino West Valley. And as a matter of fact, I think we've had a couple in the past from the Desert Diamond Casino.
I was going to ask that. I haven't.
Name is familiar.
Yeah.
I have to go back
Diamond
and take a look at the records, but I'm pretty sure we've had at least a couple of these.
Now, it's in the name here. West Valley, is that the location of it, or is that the actual name, Desert Diamond Casino West Valley?
Yes.
Yeah,
both.
Okay. Both. Okay.
Both.
Okay.
Very nice casino chain in Arizona.
There's
a couple of them.
Never been.
There's a couple of them. They do a great job there.
Okay.
We are going to be talking about a table game today from the Desert Diamond West Valley. Joseph R. hit a $744,340 multi-game progressive jackpot playing 3-card poker.
Wow.
We haven't had too many 3-card poker jackpots.
No, we've had a lot of Pai Gow poker,
Yes.
but not a lot of 3-card poker.
Well, okay, now that you mentioned Pai Gow.
Okay, we have a Pai Gow poker
Well,
thing?
no,
Okay.
as part of the story, we have a Pai Gow reference.
Oh, okay, all right.
This was a 3-card poker multi-game progressive jackpot. Joseph hit a royal flush as the winning hand.
All right.
And the last guest that won a huge jackpot was a $500,000 Pai Gow poker
All right, yeah.
progressive jackpot.
Boy, people are running Pai Gow a lot.
It's a very popular game, obviously.
Yeah,
I
Like
don't
said,
know the rules.
everyone,
I don't know the rules. So.
I have the I got to show you online. I've been trying to do it online, so not to the success that some of these people have had. But,
744,000?
No, I haven't had that. No.
No, I'm pretty sure I'd hear about that one.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah. You're angling to be one of the entries.
Well, first off, I wouldn't be here. I'd be on vacation somewhere.
That's true.
So.
You'd be holding a big check.
So you know I didn't win anything because I'm sitting here.
Well, we're going to leave Arizona, and we're going to go to Las Vegas.
All right.
By the way, just about every week, if not every other week, one of the station's casinos has a big winner.
I like the station casino.
All of them
They have the greatest bad beat jackpot. It's not, if you get the bad beat, everyone, not only in the poker room, but in all the poker rooms of Palace Station gets something, right? That's the chain, right?
They have a couple different bad beats.
They have a couple different, yeah. No, but that's one of the
them,
really cool bad beats.
One of them is just the one casino. The other bad beat is all the casinos that are playing that same game.
Yep.
The other one is all the casinos with everybody in the poker room.
At the different poker rooms. So that's great.
There's a couple different bad beat.
I guess you got to really check on it to see the bad beat rules.
You actually got to sit down. You know those little cards that the pay tables they have on the tables?
Yeah.
They actually describe some of the bad beats and everything. So make sure you actually look and see
By
exactly
the way,
what you're
I've
entering.
never read them. I've seen them in front of me a million times. I've never read them.
I
guess I should.
Yeah, I've actually read them a couple of because it's one of the ways you can actually learn what you're doing. But Las Vegas local, let's go on to the story here. At the Palace Station Casino, it did not say if he was one of their boarding pass members, which is their loyalty club.
Okay.
Since they have the train motif.
Yeah.
Las Vegas local hit a $120,000 royal flush.
Wow.
He placed a $10.50 bet on double super times pay poker.
Okay.
That's a video poker machine.
All right.
Hit a royal flush jackpot at 11:42 a.m., according to the press release. So this was some early morning money winning.
Great.
I don't know how long the person was playing, but this was a Monday morning at 11:42 a.m.
Wow.
At the Palace Station. And video poker. Again, we don't do too many video poker payouts. I mean, we did one, I think, a couple weeks ago where the woman had two jackpots just sitting there.
You know, I interviewed a person. She wrote a book.
Jean Scott, I believe.
Yeah, no, it's the frugal. That was her game, video poker.
Video poker.
And she claimed that she's never had to pay at a casino ever, going around with the different comps and the different. I think the Frugal Gambler. Was that the name of the book?
The Frugal Casino, the Frugal Casino Gamblers, no, the Frugal Guide to Casino Gambling.
Yeah, I mean,
Frugal Gambler.
That was like a person who knew how to work the comps, and that was her game. That was video poker.
Well, again, we have a $120,000 royal flush.
Yeah,
we're going cross country now. We're going to enter the state of New Jersey, our home state. A couple of jackpots to talk about here, and as I always mention during the week, we do a New Jersey jackpot. If you want to check these out for yourself, it's very interesting with the Division of Gaming Enforcement. They do a great job with this. Every 2 weeks, they update the list of the jackpots coming out of the brick and mortar and also the online casinos for $50,000 or more.
Okay. So that's what they consider a jackpot.
$50,000. They're smaller jackpots.
Okay. Yeah,
but the ones that get reported by the Division of Gaming Enforcement are the bigger payouts.
Okay.
And I always find it interesting trying to track which casino, brick and mortar or online, doesn't really matter, which casino actually pays out the most.
Okay.
And I've been keeping track. We've only had $1 million jackpot this year.
All right.
So that's going to be something to watch. We had a couple by this time last year. We only have one this year. But we're going to go focus on two jackpots in particular. We've got Play MGM Casino. Two jackpots, both on slot machines, online slots. We have a $132,950 slot win playing Ainsworth's Cougar Cash.
All right.
Now, as you can,
I've never heard of that.
As you can imagine, it's an animal themed.
Yeah. Okay.
Slot machine.
Now,
Cougar
Ainsworth is the
maker.
Maker is the brand. Okay.
I'm starting to see a lot of casinos have Ainsworth suites, whereas Ainsworth's divisions in their.
Well, yeah, you can search by maker.
Yes.
You know, you can search Ainsworth or IGT, and you can go to all their machines.
But I know some casinos are actually in their big menu where they have slots, table games. Then they have Ainsworth.
Oh, okay.
So there's a whole other suite of games.
Oh, all right.
Under the Ainsworth menu label. But every time you win, you'll hear cougars roaring.
Okay, makes sense.
The wild cougar is the highest paying symbol. They have a scatter. They have cougar cubs. So they went all out for the cougar theme on this.
All right.
The other one, $420,000 win playing Every's Borgata 777 respin.
Wow. Okay.
Now, don't get confused by the name of the game because it's made in conjunction between Every and BetMGM, and it's available at BetMGM Casino, Borgata Casino, and Party Casino.
Okay.
The game was launched back in September of 2021, and they named it the Borgata 777 Respin because there's a respin bonus that triggers randomly on any winning spin. You don't know if you're going to win this.
Oh, okay.
Kind of a unique feature that this game has.
See, I gotta go look for this because I have a subscription. I don't know what you call it. I'm a member. I have a subscription. I don't know. I can log on to Borgata.
You're
BetMGM.
a registered player.
I'm a registered player. Yeah. I'm a registered player at Borgata and BetMGM. So I'll take a look for it.
But a $420,000 win. So within 2 weeks, there was about, I would say, $550,000 paid out by Play MGM Casino.
Oh, okay.
I've actually never referred to it as Play MGM Casino. Kind of interesting how they
see. I always heard of BetMGM.
It's listed in the spreadsheet that they release as Play MGM Casino.
So when you go to BetMGM, it's actually Play MGM too. So
yeah,
I guess
I would assume so. I guess it goes to both.
Okay,
that may be their original domain name too. If you think about it.
All right.
Let's go from slots and online casinos to the Mega Millions. We don't do specific Mega Millions stories too much.
No.
We have a Mega Millions ticket sold in Tennessee that hit the $20 million jackpot.
Okay.
That's 2 jackpot winners for Mega Millions within a week.
Wow.
It's 2 consecutive drawings. That never happens.
Yeah, no, that's rare.
Tennessee player was the 4th person to win the Mega Millions top prize this year. So Tennessee, I guess, is leading the league in Mega Millionaires.
I guess so, yeah.
That's the way to put it.
If you want to play Mega Millions, I guess take a drive to Tennessee, huh?
The last time Mega Millions, this was a very interesting note. The last time Mega Millions had jackpot winners in 2 consecutive drawings was back in July of 2016. It's not a normal occurrence to see 2 consecutive draws getting a top prize winner.
Wow, pretty good.
So kind of a I guess it's a groundbreaking note.
Sorry, that you call
6 years.
Tennessee the lottery state. It's,
I think they want to be known for sports betting more so than anything
probably,
else.
Yeah.
But again, it was. Let's see. I'm looking at my notes here just to make sure I don't miss anything with regards to it. No, that was basically the big note. There's a whole bunch of other Mega Millions winners to talk about, but it was very unusual to see 2 consecutive weeks.
Yeah.
2 consecutive draws, I should say.
Great.
Last, we have the Michigan Lottery. A lottery club in Genesee County won a $1.7 million jackpot. We don't normally talk about
what the hell's
lottery
a lottery
club.
Is it just a group of people they put some money in
They get together and buy a lottery ticket.
Okay, all right.
So they won the...
I guess you better make sure your name is on that list.
Yes.
Right? Okay.
They won the Jumbo Jackpot Slots Fast Cash Jackpot.
All
Well,
right.
that's a mouthful to say from the Michigan Lottery. And they bought it at Mojo's Food and Spirits.
Okay.
I just want to include that because they get a chunk of that.
Sure.
So
how many are in the club? Did they
8
say?
people.
8 people. Okay. And how much they win?
$1.7 million. That's a good payout.
I'm trying to figure out taxes and how much each person would get. Boy, that's a math problem, huh?
I wonder if they have issues with what if one of them wants to do the lump sum, one of them wants to do it.
I would think they would have that all
hammered out
before you do anything.
I would assume that.
I would hope they had it all hammered out. So,
well, they actually had to double check everything. One person saw the drawing and saw that they won with the ticket. Another person had to go check the lottery app just to double check everything. So they were very careful in confirming that they won this prize.
Okay.
So I'm sure they've actually have done this before, won something before.
Oh, yeah,
so.
great. Good.
And last but not least, one little quick note. Drake.
Okay.
Always betting on sports. He put a place to bet at Golden State to win the Western Conference. Looks like he's on his way to winning this, the way Golden State's playing. He got 5-1 odds, and he bet $200,000.
Wow.
So if he wins, the payout will be $1 million.
Wow.
And this is cash.
Well, hey.
Yeah.
Good for him.
This is not a crypto like he did the other bets for the Super Bowl and March Madness.
Oh.
So this was cash.
Great. Good luck to Drake.
Good luck to Drake. I'm wondering where Mattress Mac is in all this.
Yeah, right.
But that's it for this week's Beating the House segment. As always, keep the press releases coming in. We'll keep doing the segment and getting more and more interesting lottery stories. And also some of the games are becoming more interesting to discuss, too.
Well, that'll do it for us this week. I'll see you next time on House of Cards.
Around a loveless heart. Wild country country in your